in favor, was it?
Aye.
All right. Okay, committee, commission reports.
I don't believe, Madam Mayor, there's anybody here from Parks and Rec. I can give a quick synopsis. We had met last night.
Yes.
Was that last night? Yes, ma'am, yes. We scheduled another meeting to meet on April 24th, which is a Thursday, to firm up the May Day Festival on May 31st, and also music in the park and a car show on May 31st from 5 to 9. The May Day Festival itself is still in the works, but the music in the park and the car show is pretty well firmed up with a live band for May 31st.
When's
May 31st.
When's the meeting gonna be?
April 24th for the next Parks and Rec meeting, Sunny.
So what's the music time frame?
Music in the park and the car show will be 5 to 9. We'll have flyers after the 24th of April, I hope, the Parks and Rec Committee, and hopefully they'll firm up some other things on the May Day Festival. Lisa Rogers gave a report to the Parks and Rec Committee. Roberta was in charge of the committee meeting. She said she has 8 teams for the softball. They are having their, is anybody here playing softball that knows more information? Jeremy?
No, I forgot that last part. You said it knows more.
She is having a coaches meeting on April 24th too, I believe, and the ball season first tournament will be the first weekend in May, which is the 2nd and 3rd of May, I believe. 3rd and 4th of May. She is, we're buying breakaway bases, new bases. April 24th, we hope to have a work day. She's going to talk to the team captains and have a bunch of people from the teams to help her with the field. And we, the town, will go get some dirt and bring it over and dump it, and they'll fix the field and fix it. That Friday the 25th is what she scheduled.
So we're not having any luck with Raro?
Raro has come,
They work on it?
yes.
They drove the field, Roger, that's all they done.
They didn't bring any dirt, they didn't do, they drove the field one day.
That's their normal maintenance that they do every year.
I guess so.
That's not what the plan was that they were supposed to be doing.
Correct,
So is that what they said, that's all they were doing?
correct.
Okay,
So Lisa has taken over maintenance of the field with our help. And that's a Parks and Rec Committee meeting from last night, and the next one will be April 24th.
we have planning commission this coming
We have Planning Commission next Tuesday night.
Tuesday. Okay, police activity report.
I believe Mr. Parker has given you all a copy of my police activity report. It's pretty cut and dry. 45 calls last month, 6 call-outs after hours, 1 call-out assist, 16 traffic stops with 11 summonses and 7 warnings, 1 arrest, 1 warrant was issued. My mileage for the month was 1,197 with 80 gallons of fuel. I had 1 admin day and 2 court appearances. The fines for last month was $1,534.84. With the feral cat issue, I have, as of the first part of April, April 1st, I collected 25 cats. Several have been returned to the town, and the owners have agreed to put collars on them for me. That was my solution to the issue that she had with her cat being taken. Is but some of the cat owners, and Georgette is helping me with this. We're talking to the owners of these cats to have them put their collars and name on them, and if they're trapped, I'll return the cats to their home. Because the clipping of the ear, I don't know what I'm looking for. I'm not even going to begin to tell the story and say that I do. If I see a clipped ear, I'm going to think the cat got into a fight and got cut. And I'm still going to carry it to the pounds. So I'm hoping that some of the owners will go ahead and just put collars on and make it a lot easier. The noise ordinance. I was to have the noise ordinance to you all this month. However, I spoke with Mr. Joyce at the Commonwealth Attorney's Office in reference to the noise ordinance. We had a bunch of issues last month with barking dogs. And Mr. Joyce and I covered the old ordinance plus the new ordinance. And he has, the best way to put it, he wants to put his 2 cents on it so it could be more appealing to the judge for convictions. So hopefully before the end of the month, I will have it done. I have a meeting with him next week, and we're going to sit down with revisions that the ordinance board and I did and see if we can tweak it so it would be a lot easier to enforce in the county. The county's noise ordinance, in essence, doesn't work, what they have, and it doesn't even cover barking animals. That's part of the issue with this noise ordinance, because we have a lot of complaints. Last month, I had 25 complaints for barking dogs, and that's right much, but as I was told by Mr. Joyce, the judge said in open court, a dog is going to bark and a cow is going to meow. There's no way to enforce something like that. So we're going to do what we can, but I don't expect much from it. I am going to go before with the Commonwealth Attorney, and we're going to sit down and tweak it, and then I'm going to bring it back to council and let you all read it, and then we can go from there. Mr. Parker has already addressed the speed trailer. All I'm asking is just consider it for next year's budget. Any questions?
I noticed that the Explorer was at Mr. Cash's.
Monthly maintenance.
Okay.
That's all. It's the inspection and monthly, well, not monthly, but maintenance on the vehicle, and he just hasn't had a chance to do it yet. He's been tied up with, he had a couple of major overhauls he had to do, but he said that I can get it by the end of the week.
How's your car?
I had to have $460 some odd worth of work done to it. The oil leak is fixed because it had gotten really outrageous, because I believe you and somebody else smelled it inside the building and the vehicle wasn't even running. The oil leak has been fixed, and he did some other minor things to it. So it's holding up.
How about your training muscle?
I'm sore, I'm tired, but I'm here. It was training that I hadn't had in 15 years, and I needed it. So I'm better prepared.
Thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Great. Looks like we have no old business, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. New business. Okay, we need to set a public hearing for May for our draft of our fiscal year 14-15 budget.
Also, that public hearing, town council will include the changes to chapter 6 in ordinance, and permission to advertise that budget summary in the paper. So we'll have if you set a public hearing for 7 o'clock for the May meeting, that would be good.
So the noise ordinance will be later, right?
Yes, ma'am. No, we won't set that public hearing until you review the draft.
Okay.
Okay? All right.
So we need to take action on this, am I correct?
You need to have a motion to set a public hearing. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Do we need to do that before, or does it matter after the May town council meeting?
What's that, the public hearing?
Yes.
The public hearing has to be sometime in May, so we can adopt the budget.
Doesn't matter in,
Right, you can have it any time in May.
What we'll do, Jerry, is we'll publish a synopsis of the budget, and it'll notify the public for a public hearing for the next council meeting.
I didn't know if it needed to be, if that hearing needed to be done before the May town council meeting.
No,
It-
no, at that time.
Right, okay.
We'll put it in the paper for 2 weeks prior
It'd be
to.
nice if you did though. If you wanted to make any changes, you would have the month of May to do it.
You want 2 weeks in the paper?
That's believe it has to run.
Actually, for the budget, it's only 1 week.
Okay.
But for ordinance amendments, it's 2 weeks.
Okay.
Oh, you have to have, the budget to,
Well, it's a health department.
VRA by June 15th, has to be adopted into them by June 15th.
That's another
Part of the
requirement.
agreement.
For the health department?
For VRA, for the
For
loan.
VRA loan, until it's paid off.
So we have to adopt it. What day is our June meeting? I'm not sure.
It is the 10th.
Okay.
You could have a public hearing on the May meeting, you could still,
You got till June 10th to adopt it.
you could either adopt it at the May meeting or the June meeting.
I prefer the June meeting. That's probably most adopted in the June meeting.
Yeah, you can do it however you want. And some municipalities will have a public hearing and take public comment on a first meeting and then have the second one for adoption. And that could be, depends on how we advertise it. You tell me how you want to do it and I'll do it.
They have to do that because if you make changes or adjustment, it has to be re-advertised a second time for adoption, correct?
Well, no, you don't have to re-advertise it. I mean, if you're setting rates and things like that, if you're increasing those, then you would have to. If you're decreasing, you don't have to.
Do I hear a motion to have this hearing in May for the budget?
Before we make a motion, is there any particular day of the week that we have a preference on, the council, or?
Don't we usually have it
Just be
penciled?
the May meeting,
The May meeting would be the 10th?
second Tuesday.
We'll take comments on the budget on that public hearing, input. And if necessary, we'll have another workshop.
Just, I hate to interrupt, will you be putting the proposed budget on the internet? On your website?
We put it on the website. We put it on the website.
So, council?
Regular council meeting is the 13th,
Right.
second Tuesday. Should we have it that night? Or
Right.
Public
that
hearing.
day?
Public hearing that night at 7 o'clock.
Yeah.
I'll make a motion that we do have it on the 13th.
Okay, our council meeting then.
Hmm.
A second,
Second.
all in favor, say yes.
For a first public hearing or to adopt the budget
The first public hearing.
on May 13th?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All in favor, yes?
Yes.
Who's second?
And, you know, when he's doing that, does chapter 6 have to be included in that advertisement?
Yes, sir.
Because we're changing all those numbers to match everything that we're changing in the
You should
budget.
have a copy of chapter 16.
Do I have that in my packet?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
The finance and taxation section of chapter 6 has to be advertised for the changes too.
Now, that will be for adoption at that point. To adopt that on May 13th. To amend chapter 6.
Well, can we do that in June?
Or you can do it in June when we actually adopt the budget, because they sync together.
Yeah, you just guys tell me which way you want to do it. I think you can probably do it either way.
I guess this one needs to be adopted at the same time that the actual budget is
If we're
adopted.
gonna do that in June, let's hold off on that one, on amending 6 until next month, and then we'll advertise it
Okay.
in late May and go that way.
All right, so it's just a motion for a public hearing for the
The budget.
draft budget.
Yes.
And then after that, hold a public hearing for the changes to chapter 6. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah, I think that's right.
Did I understand you correctly when you said if the public hearing, I mean, if there's a change on the budget and the rates are going up, there has to be another public hearing on the new proposed
Yeah,
budget?
if you advertise a budget, and then you put it out for public consumption, and then you come in and decide to change the rates, then you blindsiding the public.
If you decide to change them upward?
Yes.
Yeah.
You understood me correctly, I
You can
think.
change it down, you just can't go up.
That's right.
But we already know it's gonna go up.
So, these changes in the sixth part that we looked at for Jeff, now, do we need to talk about that, or does that just need to be done for the final draft?
Roger, if you like, you can talk about the changes. Do you need your comments?
I know, I got all this stuff. I don't know if y'all got chapter 6 in the packet.
They should. It was attached to the blue and red budget schedule. It was on the second package that you got on Friday.
Oh, this,
Okay.
yes, sorry.
It was chapter 6, there you go.
It's maybe the back 4 pages, it should have the charts and stuff. And I'm not sure, they might be out of order, because mine was out of order, I don't know if
You have
everybody's
yours
was out
on?
of order or not, but the first page of it, under 620. Jeff and I and Paula talked today about just some basic small changes here, just to kind of clean it up. 620, on back to the little photo. Right there.
Section 6.
Where it says a .068 calculation to get to $68 per thousand, and the one below it's got $7.50 actually spelled out. We talked about changing that to actually $68, just to kind of make it easier to read and figure out.
I'll give you these changes.
Are they not on this?
They're not on that.
Okay.
I just got them tonight.
Okay.
So,
And then, actually, on over, under 618, where it talks about new accounts, deposits, nonprofits, residential, businesses, commercials, we looked at actually just changing that a little bit, because it doesn't really say, well, that's an in-town, out-of-town, so we kind of, we're gonna dress it up and put like nonprofits, residential, in-town, nonprofits, residential, out-of-town limits, and then business, commercial, in-town, and business, commercial, out-of-town. So it's really just a changing of the wording on those.
and I'll give you a new copy. Okay? Don't use that one.
And then, under the red part there, where Jane has all her information on the new account fee deposit, her written part under the reconnection fee part states that if you have a past due balance, you'll be given 10 days to pay the balance in full. Your water service will be terminated on the second month. Our ordinance actually says you get billed on the 15th and you have until the 30th of the month to pay your bill in full. This just needs to change to correlate so that both of them read the same thing. And this was something that she does in-house here, so it's actually, it's part in the budget now, but it's also an in-house form, but they need to say the same thing. And the only other bigger question for council to decide, in this ordinance, there's nowhere that determines when you open up an account, you pay a new account fee, 2-month deposit, and the current month water bill. If you open the account up on the 8th of the month, you have to pay the current month's water bill. If you open it up on the 28th of the month, you have to pay the current month's water bill. There's nothing that says anything about it. It's prorated, so basically you're paying for a whole month's water and you're only gonna use it for 3 days. Jeff and Paul and I talked today, maybe we need to look at putting in a sentence that says between the 1st and the 15th, pay the full month's water. Between the 16th and the 30th, you pay half the month's prorated.
Prorated.
And I don't know what the rest of you think about that, but I don't think it's really kind of fair to pay that whole month's at the end of the month when you're only gonna use it for a few days. And we can put another sentence in there that covers that when we're changing this other, if that's what the council wants to do.
If council wants to think about that and consider that, we're gonna run it after the next meeting.
Correct, so we got plenty of time.
So we've got time to do that, and we'll advertise it in June.
And I'll make these corrections, council, bring them to the May meeting, and we can discuss it again before we advertise.
And we're just trying to sync it all together, because this is probably the first time that actual chapter 6, which covers all of these fees and water and sewer, is actually blended pretty much 100% with what we do, so. It used to be way, all the numbers, nothing matched up in it. That's the only changes that I seen that we needed to make.
Are copies of this available to the public?
Copies available to you.
Of the changes,
No, of the, well, yeah, the ordinance as it stands, or the changes, or things before the meeting.
Didn't we just get those a few months back? About
chapter 6, we
6 and,
online.
6 and 12, I think we got,
Yeah,
right?
we adopted 6 and 12 in December. They're on our website on PDF, but yes, you can have, and the changes, Roger has, I have a copy, you can have the proposed changes, a copy of that.
So you're saying the website's up to date on that?
I believe so.
Yeah, the chapter 6.
It's probably not gonna have those changes.
No, but I just looked at the site today, and it said that this meeting was gonna be a week ago, so I don't have a lot of confidence that anything's gonna be up to date on
Yeah,
there.
what'll happen, once we advertise this, the notice will say the copy of the proposed amendments will be on file at Town Hall. So
Okay.
all I have to do is come down. Right, I don't know if you post them on the website or,
No, not yet,
okay.
I mean, the chapter 6 that was adopted back
in December.
Is available.
should be correct. That should be a current copy, other than these few changes we're talking about here. And it wouldn't have the new rates in it.
Right. I think that's what he was asking about, the new rates though, probably.
The new rates? No, I was just asking about the,
Just in general.
in general, yeah.
So I'll make these corrections and I'll give you another copy of chapter 6 if you may need it. Okay?
Can I say something on the new business? About, I had a citizen that lives up in the trailer court, and they know that eventually the water's gonna be turned over into their name. And they're wondering that when the water's put into their name and taken out in Ms. Lawhead's name, will they have to pay a cut-on, cut-on fee? To have it be put into their
Well,
name?
that, and the point she's bringing up is a good point, because back under the 619, which was responsible party, we really need to start, like, I guess in this next physical year, start getting all the landlords that are paying the bills for the tenants, to get the tenants to come and put them into their name, get their accounts up, because that's gonna have to happen when we go to the full-run meter system. The landlords won't be able to pay those bills. It's gonna have to be, each tenant's gonna have to come in, set up their own accounts, have everything established in their name, because the meters are gonna be read and they're gonna be billed based on that meter. So your question, the trailer park will be the same way. All those tenants will have to come in and set their bills up. Now, your question was, would they have to pay
Cut-on, or to be put in their name?
The account fee.
they would have to come in and pay their deposit, or the account, the administrative fee to set up the account, and then they would have to pay their deposit, just like a new person would have to pay. Yeah, each one of them would have to do that, because there's no way, they couldn't come in and just establish an account without paying their deposit and paying their administrative fee for the account, just like any other person would have to do.
You still anticipate the owner of the property being ultimately responsible for the water bill. I think that's what the current.
In all landlord, even in the county, they refer it to, I don't have it, it's section code 5124, that says a landlord is ultimately responsible for a tenant's bill. Even though there are some, it's not as clear cut as that says it is. But yeah, I mean, the county says if they don't pay the bill, the landlord's responsible. But on the metered system, landlords are not gonna pay somebody's water bill because they don't have any idea how much it's gonna be. Now it's a flat fee, so landlords can pay them and just add it to the rent, or pay them and charge them extra. Once it goes to meters, it'll be varying from person to person. So the county requires every tenant to come in and set their own account up, do a landlord agreement, but the landlords don't pay the bills of the county.
How much
The
of that,
tenants do.
oh, sorry, I'm not, sorry to interrupt, but how much is it gonna be to put it in your name as far as like a new account holder for the water bill? What is the price looking at if we have to get us a new account? Is it just gonna be one set fee? Or when you were saying about the prorate of 1 month, like if you come in the middle of the month and you're gonna prorate it, with it being on meters, how are y'all gonna be able to do that? Shouldn't it just be one account fee and just leave it at that, or?
Well, to give you an answer, like if you were coming to town to set up an account,
Mm-hmm.
you have to pay a $25 new account fee, which is for processing and setting up that account. You have to pay a 2-month deposit on your water sewer account, which is $120. And you have to pay a current month's water bill, sewer bill, which would be $60. So to set up a new account for somebody new, it's $205. That's for a residential account. based on all our new rates, based on, what we'll be doing after July the 1st. Now, going to meters, what'll happen is you'll pay an account fee, and then you'll pay the deposit, which will be just a flat deposit number that we come up with at that point, because it won't matter about the bill. Now it's based on how much you pay per month for your water bills.
Okay,
You'll pay a flat deposit, and then the deposit, the account fee will be the total. And
okay.
I have no idea on what that'll be.
So with us already paying a water bill, y'all are just gonna make we're not gonna have to pay for an account through you guys, like where I rent, I pay a water bill in my name, so it'll just draw over onto a new account, or do I have to pay that fee also?
You already have it established in your name?
I already have an account with you guys as far as paying a water bill monthly, but I didn't know with this new water thing meter going.
Well, nothing will change on yours then.
Okay.
You'll just get the bill for the meter and for the water usage.
Okay,
See what
so
happens?
it just roll over.
See what happens, a lot of them, as like landlords,
Uh-huh.
pay the bills for their tenants.
Like,
There's
okay.
several of them, so the tenants don't have to fool with anything. Well, once it goes to meters, the landlords are not gonna know how much that bill's gonna be. So the
Gotcha.
tenant needs to come in on those places and set their own account up like you're already doing. Have
Okay,
it in their name so they know when they're leaving, when they're coming.
okay.
Well, right now, the landlords have done it just because it was flat fee, so they just added it into their rent or added it into a fee.
Okay, okay.
So if all those renters come in tomorrow and get the accounts in their name, they're not gonna have to pay the $205, right?
Is what you're saying?
And that's what I advise, that's what it sounds like.
And then this person said she wouldn't be able to afford it.
Are y'all gonna set up payment plans for your deposits and stuff?
Well, is there any way of waiving from the landlord to the, to the tenant, the account? And maybe the tenant only has to pay the fee for opening a new account and not so much the deposits, which I guess the landlord has already
It's a new
put in there.
That's,
It's a new payer.
But they should come,
That's
sign
a
up
good
now.
question.
The town has no history with this new payer.
I see, I see where you're coming from now.
Discuss it.
Oh,
That's
so-
the water and sewer committee right there.
So
so-
y'all gonna be working on that?
Yeah, I was just giving, that's what it works right now.
Okay,
You know,
that's fine.
and we've got, a year or so till we get to the
Yeah.
meters to where it's gonna be. And we're gonna have to come up and sit down and rewrite how all that's gonna work,
Okay.
and what the deposit's gonna be. So, yeah, I mean, there's a possibility, like, getting people that landlords have been paying theirs to set their accounts up,
Did
something.
y'all ever take in perspective of like maybe if they really do have to do that, to do, add like the deposit, the one straight fee deposit, add it onto their water bill to where they can, some people can't afford the whole big, lump sum if they, like y'all's flat fee deposit, to put it on the water bill at the end of the, like when they have to pay it, they pay extra for deposit until deposit's paid completely in full. Have y'all ever considered that?
I don't know, we'll just have to look at all that as we move forward,
Okay.
as far as drafting the new stuff going to meters.
Okay,
I was just trying to get it out there to let people know,
Yeah.
these changes are coming.
okay.
Well, thank you, Roger. Okay, Mr. Parker, manager's report?
Yes, ma'am. In your packages, you have the award letter. We did it from CERCAP. It's a 50/50 award. We have been awarded $75,000 grant and $75,000 loan from CERCAP for the construction of the upgrade of the influent pump station. Our closing attorney is working with the attorney from CERCAP to set a closing sometime in the end of May for us to borrow that $75,000. The second item in your packages is a draft vehicle replacement plan, or a CIP program for your vehicles. It's a draft for your review. We can take comments and we can adopt it anytime in the near future. And also, I set to your side, Roger and Sonny both came to the pre-construction meeting that we had attached in your package, or that I set to the side, are minutes from that pre-construction meeting. It has Hurt and Profit logo on top. We have finished the laydown area. They are starting construction on April 21st, which is next Monday. And if you read the minutes of that pre-construction meeting, substantial completion is scheduled for 480 days, which means substantial completion should be the end of August of 2015. His clock starts on April 21st.
And did he not, just for some people in the audience, did he not say that they were gonna be advising people what areas they were gonna be working in?
Yes.
Prior to, you know, weeks that they're moving through their construction process?
That's correct. He has not given us a schedule. When he comes in town next week, he'll give us a schedule, where he's gonna be working, and we're gonna use door hangers and et cetera. If we have water off in any sections of town, contractor will notify everybody. Water should not be off more than an hour or two, just for connections, for taps into lines.
They're gonna have to come into my yard.
Can we talk about it when you
Yeah.
come over and I'll show you the drawings?
Well, I would like the council just to hear, I would just like to ask that they consider, if they have to remove part of a tree, if they would just go ahead and remove the entire tree.
Okay, you let me know that.
If they can.
Now, the contractor's contract calls for video, and you probably saw them in town yesterday before it rained.
Yep, they all come to my property, I go out there and talk to every one of them.
Their contract calls for them to video where they're gonna construct and put everything back the way it was. That's why the video was done. So if you want the tree minus, he'd probably video the tree. He'll leave it unless we tell him otherwise, during that time frame.
The impression I got is gonna be minimal damage
Yes.
done, yeah.
You know, most of the work is in alleys, and they're replacing the 2, 4, and 6, and 1 8-inch line. So, listening to the contractor, Sonny and Rob, you guys can help me out, they plan on, there's a water line there now in an alley, and they're gonna parallel that line, abandon the old line and make connections to it, to the old line, and then charge the new line, and disinfect, take back T samples, and make taps for the new meters and lay them out. So they'll do it in sections like that. We just don't know his schedule yet, whether he's gonna start at the tank and work himself down. Chris talked to the superintendent today, he's still working on his schedule. He's hopes to have it done by Monday.
And they will be working a 7 to 5 schedule, Monday through Friday. So they'll be out early in the morning starting to work, so. They might be waking somebody up if you sleep late.
Could
Anything
be
you'd like
later
to add,
if
Jeff?
we run into problems. I'd like to ask, if I could, I sent something to Paul about this, and, but we need y'all's verification if you want to move forward on this. We need to look at replacing the generator at the treatment plant. It's original. One of the things I'd like to do is seek to get a grant for that, not a loan or something. And in the same process, look at putting a return sludge generator in there too. That would actually be portable, you can move it out if we need to. And then, and try to move us up on the ladder, you might say, as far as grants, put a generator at the tank up there, a small generator. What we would need though is I would need a vote from you guys so that the engineer can write the documents up that needs to be written up, and to know we can move forward on this, getting prices, and then going ahead with this vote. It would sanctify that the council agrees to it, and so SERCAP is who we'd be going to, has y'all's blessing on it. That's one of the things, but basically quotes, engineered proposal, and the blessing of the council. That's basically the beginning stage, and then if they award you, then it's more details from there. But that's where we're at. I'd like to get it in as soon as possible. This is April. It'd be nice to get it in May. The award letters is usually in July. And probably, theoretically, we probably can get a grant, but the grant might be broken a year, 2 year, 3 year stage. So, you know, but your foot's in that door then. As right now, we're not in the door at all because we don't have anything on the table. So that's kind of, you know, I don't look for us to get a one big grant, but we might. But I'm going to strictly use it as level of service. And what I mean by that is if the generator goes out at the sewage treatment plant, there is no level of service for the citizens. If the power goes out like the ratio we had last time, there's no single at the tank. There is no water service. So speaking in those categories, it jumps you up the ladder tremendously because it affects the level of service for the town, for the citizens. So that's what I'm looking at, is that during these events, we don't have that issue.
Let's see if I synopsize for you, Jeff. There's a generator that runs the plant, but doesn't run the entire plant.
Right.
It's a 1992, 100 kW, 200 kW.
No, it's only a 60 kW.
60 kW. And it only runs part of the plant, so.
Just runs 3 pumps, that's it.
And there's no generator at the elevated storage tank on, and it's not one scheduled in the water project for the
No.
generator there. And we're putting in SCADA, and we're putting in a mixer, and we have a signal there now through the telephone lines. So if the power goes out, we don't know, right now, power goes out the tank and the plant, the generator only runs 3 or 4 pumps, influent pumps primarily, right,
Well,
sludge.
no, the generator right there at the tank,
No, not the tank, at the plant,
at the plant only runs the 3 influent pumps.
okay? There is no generator at the tank, so if the power goes out, we don't know if it's full, empty, or whatever, because nothing feeds.
There's nothing there to tell you that.
So what he's asking for is permission to use Hurt and Profit
Yep.
to help put together, we don't know what the cost would be. I'm thinking $1,000, $2,000 engineering services or less.
No, it's gonna be less than that. I spoke to Ken, he said probably a minimum of 3 hours.
Okay, so
to
to use Hurt and Profit's professional services to help put together a grant package. And
And if we get the grant, that's reimbursed as part of the,
so we can use their professional service to help Jeff put together the grant package, which is several pages long, and you have to have a lot of technical information in there, and submit it, and you get in the queue. We just want to hurry up and get in the queue for CERCAP.
So CERCAP's, the one we've got for CERCAP for the influent pump station is just in a different cycle.
That's
Right,
correct.
that's
And you're
the-
saying the next cycle's coming up.
right, that's loan grant. I'm strictly going for the
For a
grant,
grant.
if possible.
Right, but their next loan, or their next cycle comes up in May, June,
July.
July.
So it'll be next fiscal year if we get awarded, so we want to get in the queue to get awarded for a grant only to replace the generator.
Right, and it's too small to go to like rural development or something like that. It's just,
We'll probably upgrade it from 60 to 100, maybe.
it's just way too small.
I mean, if Hurt Profit's doing all that study just for a couple hours worth of time putting together some numbers and figures, you know, to get the grant for it, if we're looking at.
Basically, I'm getting all the information, he's putting it together as an engineer, so it's
And
going in.
stamping it.
Yeah, he's saying this is how you do it, basically.
I mean, we're not committing to anything other than that couple $100 probably to do that and take a
Committing
chance on
to-
getting the grant.
That's correct, and submitting for the grant.
And just off the top of my head, the grant will be between 50 and 75,000, just off the top of my head. So it's a substantial amount of money, we're talking more than $5,000 or something.
This is not piggybacking the already.
No, it'll be next fiscal year grant cycle.
That's why I say we go strictly for grant. They might stage it in a couple years even, because they'll say, hey, that's such a lump sum. But if we can get it, you take it. Because then you're already in there. That's what you're facing. People's already got blocks in there, and they're next. I mean, they're in there. You're not gonna bump them. I mean, I bumped people last time to get the $75,000, but you're not gonna bump a grant for a grant. It's not gonna happen.
So we kind of need a motion to apply for the grant, use Hurt and Profit for professional services, not sure of the cost, less than $1,000, I think. And permission to take that, their services and Jeff's work and submit to SURCAP for a grant to replace a generator at the sewage treatment plant and install a generator at the tank.
And one for return sludge pumps.
And a third generator.
2 installs, 1 replacement.
Mhm.
2 new, 1 replacement.
2 new, 1 replacement.
Okay. I'll make a motion to enlist Hurt and Profit with your assistance and research, I guess, to apply for this grant for the replacement of 1 generator and installation of 2 units.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say yes.
Yes.
Opposed?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
If there's anything I can help you on the vehicle replacement policy, just let me know.
You'll be glad to explain it to you in detail.
Correlated it a little bit for you.
That's it, Madam Mayor.
Expense report?
It's attached.
Okay.
If any comments on the expense report. Also, on your side, I took the draft budget we had in those spreadsheets, the working draft budget, and put it into QuickBooks. So you have that also with the, and the expense report is attached to your packages. Any comments on the expense report? I can tell the audience. It's for the end of March, we should be at 75% of the fiscal year. Our expenses are at 76%, and our revenues are at 81%. Now, it's just information.
Just information. Council, do you have anything else? Okay, our next council meeting will be May 13th.
I had one thing.
Okay, go ahead, Martin.
And died.
Since John resigned his position, how are we gonna handle that?
There are 2 things. One, I mean, I saw the paper that he wrote to council. You know, you all can vote to accept his resignation. What we do want to do is to change these election laws. And the old town, our town code, and most town codes have said that you could just simply appoint someone. That's not the case anymore. You know, you have to jump through several hoops to get that appointment through the circuit court judge to avoid having a special election. We do not want to have a special election. His term, when would his term expire?
It's got 15 days.
December.
In 2015?
December 25th.
Okay, yeah. You know, what we don't want to do is go through that special election process. It's expensive and just end up costing the town a lot of money. So that's, you know, what I want to do. Mr. Kendall's been nice enough to provide us one of the statutory provisions, but it's not the one that's important. I need to look at the other portions of 24.2. I'll let Paul know something tomorrow as to how we avoid that special election. And if we need to, and if we're under a time sensitive thing, we may have to call a special meeting sometime here, you know, in the next week or so to get an appointment, but we want to avoid that at all costs.
Well, see, that, because I was thinking, and I could be wrong, because I talked with Marilyn, was she had told me that time starts the day of resignation. And this is electoral,
Well, you know, Buena Vista just went through this,
but,
and in fact, they're going through it right
but
now.
she, I think, said that if you do an appointment, it has to be within 45 days from the date of resignation.
Yeah, you know, I've got to review those statutes, you know. I mean, this was just,
And if you don't,
his letter was dated as of today.
and our discussion came from the fact of what happened up in Iron Gate.
Yeah.
And I
yeah.
think what she had said, if you go outside of that 45 days, then it's not allowed to do an appointment.
Then you
and
have to,
move to the
then you have to
special
petition
election.
the court, and you have all sorts of problems at that point.
Right, but I think you have a 45-day window.
Well, I know you think, I need to review the statutes, you know, I don't keep that stuff off the top of my head.
The one statute I have there says you have 15 days from the resignation.
Yeah, but that's not, it refers to other statutes in there, 24-2, 228, and 228-1. And without looking at those things, I'd love to carry all that stuff around in my head. I don't. You know, every time I see these issues, I have to go back to the code and look at it.
But I
Iron
guess,
Gate's had a every small community has had a problem with this because they changed this in 2010 and 2011. A lot of people have gotten caught with this, and they end up spending $10,000, $15,000 for a special election. The legislature has been addressing this in the current session, and it's supposed to be amended again, and hopefully it will be come July